This is a true story that happened several years back when I was 13. This was a time when I was growing up in New York. We actually had a summer house on Cape Cod and spent every other weekend there. If we could. Cape Cod is a peninsula of the east coast of Massachusetts. It became very busy, even crowded during summertime, but during the winter season, it becomes empty. The majority of houses in our area are owned as summer houses, so during winter, the houses are still there, but the people are not in it. In contrast to New York, there are only street lamps on a single main road in this town. The main road goes from the town centre to the beach. Aside from this road, all others are dark and very black at night. Also, Cape Cod extends out into the Atlantic from the mainland, forming a bay. Cape Cod Bay. Not only can one watch the sunrise over the Atlantic Ocean, but can watch the sunset over Cape Cod Bay on any given clear day. Another effect of being surrounded by ocean is that there is very little man-made light at night. The stars are so clear that the Milky Way is clearly visible spanning across the sky on clear nights. This story happened during the vacation period between Christmas and the New Year. The Christmas celebrations were finished, there was plenty of leftover turkey and pumpkin pie. We got a bit of cabin fever with all the Christmas food and family on one evening. My older sister, who was 7 years older than I, so 20 at the time, came up with an idea to take a walk to the harbour, which is about a 20-minute walk from our house. The harbour can be fun, because we can walk out onto the docks and walk among the boats. While I was a bit creeped out to walk around a deserted beach town on a cold winter night, I also thought it would be fun to get out of the house and maybe even get exciting. We headed out, across the street from our classic Cape Cod cottage, in a field with a forest at the other end. At night time, I would also have a little fear that there could be a psycho watching us from the tall grass. Perhaps he would have an axe. But while they kept my nerves worthy, I knew it was my imagination. But still, icy winds blowing on tall grass is a perfect setting for some horrors. Add this to the moonless sky with a million sparkling stars, and the Milky Way above, and the horror setting is at level Stephen King. We walked out onto the main road, went a bit down the road, and then turned to walk down a side street that leads to the street that dips down the hill towards the harbour. The side street runs along the backside of a long hotel. It's more like a 2-level motel, painted light yellow, that has a pool. It is well suited in town, so it can be very full of life during summer. On this December Eve, the hotel was closed for the season, completely dark, and several windows are covered up with plywood for protection. My sister mentioned that a hotel that spans an entire block, but is particularly boarded, reminds me of a horror-like movie. Like one of those slasher films where the characters make all the wrong decisions and walks into the worst of dark places just to find their worst nightmares come true. At the end of the street with the hotel, we continue to the left, which is a long road downhill through the woods to the harbour. This isn't a pure forest, because there are houses set back from the road, with an occasional driveway. Many of the driveways have reflectors on a rock, a fence, or just standing on a metal stick. These reflectors reflect back on the headlights from cars. I mention this because we could not see any of them or anything. It was pitch black in the wooded area, and the road seemed to continue into the black. Come to think of it, we had not seen a single car or a single person or a single sign of life since we left our house. My nerves were on edge. I was only 13 at the time, and although my nerves were screaming, I tried to stay calm, because I wanted to seem tough to my sister. The woods along the side of the road were particularly nerve-wracking. The trees come right up to the asphalt on each side of the road. They provide many opportunities to hide someone or something. The houses beyond the woods were dark, because rarely did vacationers come here in winter. I started to notice that my sister was also starting to lose her nerves, and that's when I felt it. I felt a flush of energy move up to the back of my neck. It makes it feel like the hairs are sticking out on end. This is a feeling I get when I'm being watched. It's hard to describe this feeling, but I still get it today, sometimes when someone is looking at me from behind. It's either some kind of sixth sense, or just my imagination working on with some intuition. We were now midway into the wooded area, downhill towards the harbour. I was starting to lose my shit, and was just about to stop pretending not to be freaking out and tell my sister, "Let's go back," when she suggested it. She said, "It's late. Maybe we don't have to go all the way down to the harbour." I replied back, "Yeah, plus it's kinda creepy and dark down there." The back of my neck was shivering, and I felt my body shudder as it wrestled between acting relaxed and flipped a switch to flight or fight mode. My sister replied, "Yeah, very creepy. Come on, let's go back to the house. We can see the harbour tomorrow." We turned around, and she grabbed my hand, and we were starting to walk fast back up the hill. I remember she held my hand so tight it hurt, and my sister never holds my hand. I can't think of another time when she did this. And this is where the story takes a deep dive down the rabbit hole. As we got towards the end of the wooded area, my sister screamed out, "I've got a knife and I'm not afraid to use it." And she did not lose any rhythm or for fast walking while saying this. We crossed the street now and headed onto the street with the backside of the closed 2-level motel. My sister continues speed walking and looks back. She let out a little panic noise and looked back again. Then she commanded me, "Don't look back." I was utterly freaking out at this point. Aside from the eerie vibe of the dark, empty street and my own inner panic, I had not actually seen anything out of the ordinary, with the exception of my sister's completely insane behaviour. Then she said, "When I say run, you run, okay?" "Okay." We were almost at the main block, a block from our street, and then she said, "Run!" We booked it. She let go of my hand, and we both broke into the best sprint we could do. I could hear our footsteps banging against the asphalt, and I could also hear several other steps banging in the distance. We cut around the grass area to a shortcut towards our street, and ran through the front yards of our neighbours' houses to make it a beeline for the front door of our house. We made it. We both ran in and locked the storm door, which is mostly glass. I was panicking, but not sure if there was anything, or if we were just going crazy. It was a strange transition from outside, which was terrifying, to inside, the warm-lit house which seemed safe. I was questioning what happened in my mind. I could sense that my sister was also questioning herself whether there was even a threat or we both just lost our minds out there. I asked my sister what she saw, and she said that there was a man standing on the edge of one of the driveways. We walked right past him on the way back. She said that when we were behind the hotel, he crossed the street and was following us. She said he was looking right at us. Although we were walking very fast, he was gaining on us. She explained that it doesn't make sense that a man would be standing out there in a dark, wooded area. Honestly, I don't really understand what happened that night. I'm not sure of how much of what my sister said is true, if she was seeing things or not. One thing is for sure, I realised that I prefer walking to the harbour during the day.